Welcome everyone to today's checkup for the upcoming Gigantamax Grimmsnarl debut for the Wild Area event. We'll be discussing the various counters for taking on this Pokemon at length, their strengths, their weaknesses, and generally what to power up on these Pokemon to best utilize your Stardust and Max Particles. If you're new here, my name is Articuno, otherwise known as the Dynamax Doctor, and I make videos discussing the finer details and mechanics for Dynamax battles. So if that is of interest to you, please consider subscribing down below to stay up to date with the latest news and analysis. As always, here's a brief disclaimer about the damage calculation formula I use. While this formula is what Pokemon Go uses for its damage calculations, I'll be making some simplifications to attack and defense since I can't really know your specific level, IVs, etc. And instead, we'll just be using the base attack and defense of your Pokemon and the boss Pokemon respectively. So, why might you want to participate in Grimmsnarl Gigantamax battles? For starters, Grimmsnarl is one of two Dark-type attacking Gmax Pokemon, the other option being the unreleased Pokemon Gmax Urshifu. Grimmsnarl has a major advantage in this comparison. Its candy availability makes it a much more affordable option than Urshifu. Defensively, Grimmsnarl isn't particularly interesting. It has some noteworthy resistances and few weaknesses, but its defensive stats are unimpressive, so this Pokemon will mostly be focused on attack. On screen is a triple Venn diagram featuring the roles for attackers, tanks, and healers, along with placements for each of the Pokemon we'll discuss today into the roles they fit best. This isn't to say that you can't try to make something like Snorlax an all-out offensive powerhouse, but that it tends to skew more heavily in the territory of healing and damage sponging. For the upcoming Gigantamax battles, I'd recommend a team composition of at least one strong attacker and two tanks or healers. Let's dig in. To start with, let's talk about Zacian, the best attacker against Gmax Grimmsnarl. Its Behemoth Blade attack packs a whopping punch, dwarfing the rest of the attackers on this list. Unsurprising, given its 332 attack stat. What brings Zacian into the next tier, though, is its great typing and defense stat, which allows it to be one of the best tanks against Grimmsnarl as well. Power Up Punch is the only neutral damage it takes, and it resists the rest of Grimmsnarl's attacks. Pokemon that can fulfill multiple roles are incredibly valuable, so power up this Pokemon if you can. Metagross is another great option for an attacker. Nonetheless, if going the Metagross route, you'll have a choice to make. Do you prioritize charging the max meter or dealing maximum damage in the max phase? Depending on the answer, you'll want to pick Fury Cutter or Bullet Punch respectively. You can see on screen that Max Steel Spike massively outdamages Max Flutterby, but the advantage of hitting more max phases through Fury Cutter can't be denied. Note that Metagross, while typically good at tanking as well as attacking, is not a good option here, as the Steel type was changed in Generation 6 to no longer resist the Dark type. Excadrill can be a great option for players looking to contribute meaningfully as an attacker while also having some utility as a healer. Its 255 attack stat and 242 stamina stat allow it to fulfill both an attacking and healing role well, and, thankfully, has access to a 0.5 second fast attack in Metal Claw to boot. Its defense stat is poor, however, so keep Excadrill away from targeted or spread attacks until the Dynamax phase. Zamazenta is another fantastic option for Gmax Grimmsnarl. Typecast into a tank role traditionally, Zamazenta's attack stat is decent, and thus its Behemoth Bash attacks can deal damage comparable to some of the better attackers mentioned today. Like its sibling, Zacian, it compresses the tanking and attacking roles well, and while it takes slightly more damage compared to Zacian, it also has the added benefit of starting battles with a shield if Max Guard is powered up, which may situationally make it better than Zacian. Duraludon is an okay attacker. It's outdamaged by a few other Pokemon mentioned, but can be a decent budget option for players who missed out on some of the Dynamax and Gigantamax releases earlier this year. It's a single-stage Pokemon, which means you won't have to spend any candy evolving it, and instead can pour that candy directly into powering up its moves and CP. Outside of that though, most players will likely end up choosing a different option. With the debut of Gardevoir on November 10th, we can discuss its performance alongside Hatterene, as both Fairy Psychic Pokemon share the same attack stat and access to Max Starfall. These will both be decent attackers and are also some of the only viable Pokemon to resist Power-Up Punch. Gardevoir slightly edges out Hatterene in the defense department, and so, without access to Hatterene's Gmax form, Gardevoir is the superior magical girl for now. Gigantamax Garbodor was recently released and it's fine. Again, this Pokemon may serve as a good option for players who are fairly new and lack superior options. It resists Power-Up Punch and Play Rough, which is good for a Poison-type Pokemon, but its defensive stats don't allow it to really stick around that long anyway. If this is your best bet, make sure you invest into its Gmax Malodor attack, as ranks in this max attack will maximize Garbodor's damage dealing potential. As you can hopefully tell by now, Grimmsnarl carves through most of the available Pokemon with its diverse type coverage and offensive presence. As such, Shuckle may be a good option for players seeking defensive relief. With its massive defense stat, players can use Max Guard to great effect, shielding teammates throughout the battle. That's about the extent to which Shuckle will be useful. As you can see, its attack and stamina stats are minuscule in comparison. So just remember that with Shuckle, it's all about the shield. Next up, let's talk about some niche tanking options in Articuno and Suicune. These are Pokemon that require quite a bit of candy investment, but for Grimmsnarl may be good options given the lack of good tanking alternatives. Both share a similar defensive profile and neither take super effective damage from any of Grimmsnarl's attacks. That being said, they're a bit slow with their fast attacks and have limited offensive firepower outside of tanking. Given the option, I'd lean more into Articuno given it has a better offensive toolkit with Max Hailstorm. For a more budget-friendly tanking option, Venusaur can certainly be used as well. Both its Gigantamax and Dynamax forms are useful here and can dish out respectable damage at the same time. Venusaur is still only an okay tank, with its typing being its main asset. 189 defense is starting to decay with more and more offensive-leaning Pokemon being released. Blissey and Chansey are the two best healers in the game. They possess nearly identical stamina stats and with the right investment into Max Spirit can drop massive health bombs on you and your teammates during battle. For Grimmsnarl, these Pokemon don't stand a chance offensively or defensively, so let's stick to healing with these two. Snorlax is another great healer. As is typical between the comparison between Blissey and Snorlax, the latter tends to offer more versatility at the expense of raw healing power. This remains the case, with Snorlax's Gmax Replenish outdamaging Blissey's best efforts easily. In conclusion, I'm prescribing players to bring Zacian into Gmax Grimmsnarl battles. This Pokemon is the best attacker for expediently dispatching Grimmsnarl, and its charge attack Behemoth Blades are nothing to scoff at either. With a little investment into CP, Zacian can shrug off hits rather well, taking resisted or neutral damage to all of Grimmsnarl's attacks, and with higher investment into Max Guard, can make Zacian a bona fide tank as well as attacker. I hope you feel a bit more prepared for the upcoming debut of Gigantamax Grimmsnarl. If you learned something or found anything surprising in today's video, drop a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe while you're at it. Till next time.